Hmm.
Assalamu alaikum, family, peace, and healing. And we are back for another episode of Healing with Angelica's podcast, where we discuss all things healing. And if you are new to the show, welcome, beautiful souls. On today's episode, I have a special guest joining me today, Miss Tayla X, as we will be discussing today's topic, healthy postpartum. Taylor, welcome, and thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
Good. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. Happy to be here.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you again for joining me. Now, before we get started on today's topic, do you mind letting our audience know just a little bit more about you?
Oh yeah, of course. So my name is Tayla X, as she said. I'm a mom of two beautiful babies. I have a boy and a girl. I had some interesting birth stories, which kind of led me to where I am today. I became a doula about 2 years ago, and I think it's two going on three maybe. And since then, like I've been helping women give birth at home mostly is the goal. But other than that, like just helping them really advocate for themselves because that's one of the things that I've been doing my entire life. So yeah, that is where I'm at right now. And I'm also in school to be a midwife in the future. Hopefully in the next 2 years, I'll be delivering some babies on my own. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is exciting. Yes, I love it. Thank you so much, Taylor, for that. And for my audience today, please, 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 feel free to put any questions that you may have for my guests in the comments today. Now, let's get started on today's topic, healthy postpartum. Now, we all should know, mostly our women, what postpartum is. However, to break it down, postpartum means the time that begins right after a woman gives birth that lasts about 6 weeks, allegedly.
I was just gonna
Post- allegedly. Postpartum has always been given the title of the fourth trimester. As a new mom, it could be a trying time of adjusting to life, trying to navigate what to do and how to do it, constantly criticizing ourselves, which can sometimes turn into unhealthy habits and mental health issues such as anxiety and depression. So, how could one adjust to their new way of life and obtain a healthy postpartum? And that brings me to my first question for you, Miss Taylor. Do you mind telling us your journey to becoming a doula and why did you choose that profession?
Oh yeah, so it actually happened around the time I was supposed to be going into labor with my daughter. I had a weird type of situation where my water broke and my contractions didn't start right away, which really now I know just means that it wasn't time. But at the time, no information. So I did a little back and forth with my midwives. This was a time that me and them kind of got into it a little bit. And there was a lady that I was getting counsel from who's just a older woman in our neighborhood, and she gave birth to all her children at home. She helped other women give birth at home, but she wasn't a licensed midwife or anything. And I always think about those conversations that I was having with her during that time because I was really, really struggling with the decision to transfer to a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to just rebel against that and give birth to my baby at home, but I just didn't have the knowledge at the time.
Yeah.
So she told me, she said, Taylor, you are so passionate about this. You should become a midwife. And I was like, wait, what? Like I'm on the phone with her, arguing with my midwives, telling her what happened. And I'm like, you want me to be a part of the system that I can't stand? I'm trying to get out of? I don't understand. And she was like, yeah, like you would just help so many women. So then after I had my baby, I started kind of looking up, okay, well, how do you become a midwife? Like that is something I would be interested in. And going the natural route with a lot of things that I was bothered with during my pregnancy. So I'm looking at how do you become it? And the basic information you're going to find online is that you should go to school to become a nurse first, which is like 4 years, getting your bachelor's degree, and then going to nursing school. And then there's another trade off where you have to train to be a midwife after that. So I was like, dang, like 6 to 8 years, that just sounds kind of crazy to me at this time. So I started looking more into other options. And then that's when I found out what a doula was. And I got aligned with this midwife. She's a Black midwife in Louisiana, and she does trainings for doulas. And she's trained so many doulas. She's been a midwife for such a long time. I loved her class. And then after that, I kind of felt good, like that I'm in the field, but I'm able to help, but it's just not in the way I originally thought. So I know that's not really what you were asking about the midwifery, but that's kind of like what started the doula stuff. And then as I started going to births, that's when I've realized that I can become a midwife sooner than what I originally thought when I became a doula.
Yes. All praise be to Allah. I love that. I'm sorry, I was listening to you, and then the haters come in and try to crackle up our conversation. It sounded real muffled. Could you hear it? Could you hear that on your end?
Yeah, I hear it a little bit.
Okay.
Do you think it might be the mic?
Oh my God, I hope not. Here we go again with these mics.
I know.
Give me a moment, you guys.
Okay.
Make sure you guys hear this. Hold on, wait. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Okay. Let me see here. And if you guys are listening, if you guys still hear it, please let me know whose end you're hearing it on so I can know for future references. But thank you so much for that, Tayla. Just opening up and letting us know where you started in your journey and what kind of like got you into wanting to become a doula. Now, I believe that with pregnancy and just postpartum and just being a woman in general, we get a lot of runarounds when it comes to the proper knowledge of pregnancy, of birthing, of after birth. So do you mind telling us what are some misinformation women receive in regards to postpartum?
Yeah, that's really good. I'm glad you asked that because a lot of times, a lot of times we're told things about postpartum, like you said in the beginning, like, oh, the first 6 weeks, this is what you should do for the first 6 weeks. After 6 weeks, you should go back to work, drop your baby off at the daycare, and just go on with your life. You're all healed. And that is just not the case at all. Like, really, it should be 6 weeks in your home. And then maybe the next 6 weeks is close to home. And then the next 6 weeks is, okay, now me and baby are close to home, things like that. So we're trying to get you to ease your way out of the experience that you just went through. And I think that what the problem is that birth is happening so much. So the people that are in that field that see it every day so much, they just really feel like women should just be ready to jump back into life when it doesn't happen like that, like at all. So I definitely don't believe in the 6-week thing. Another myth or misconception I would say about postpartum is that like the worst is over, because I feel like people are so worried about the labor part of it, pushing out the baby, that they think postpartum everything is just over. But there's so many different things still changing in your body. For you to be able to produce milk, there's extra hormones that weren't there before. It's just so many different things, and now the progesterone is going down, estrogen is trying to level itself back out, and all of these things are trying to go back to pre-pregnancy body. So I always tell women, think about it like if it took 9 months to make the baby, or really 10 months, if we're going based off 40 weeks, 10 months with the baby, then we need 10 months after the baby too. So
I definitely agree with that. I definitely went through my own transitioning right after having my son, and I like I had a short-term thyroid issue right after having my son, on top of dealing with the hospital from what I told you prior to the show. Dealing with the hospital and just going through so many different changes within myself, within my body. This is my baby, my newborn baby. It was so much. So me being a new mom, in my mind, I'm thinking like, okay, I know this is new, but I'll be back to myself in no time. You
Yeah.
know, like I'm done with the pregnancy. It's over. I'll be back to myself, the person I was before I, got pregnant. But oh no, that definitely was not the case. Like I said, after having my situation with my thyroid, after having my son, I lost a tremendous amount of weight. I had to eat a little bit more because I was nursing. So that
Yeah.
that played a big part too, because I didn't know, like, they were saying like, you're nursing, you're still kind of pregnant. You
Yeah.
still gotta keep it going. But I'm saying that to say that within that time, like, I learned so much patience, because honestly, my son is 2 now, and I just got, I feel like I just really, really got to a point to where I won't say that I'm back to myself, but I think
Mhm.
that I am becoming a new self. And I
Yeah.
think that's what it is with all women. Like, after you give birth, just know that this is a new you.
Yeah.
Like, that person you was before, and I'm not saying, like, maybe you still do certain habits and things, but you know, your body, I don't believe your body is the same anymore after pregnancy. I don't believe your mind is the same after pregnancy. Like, like I said, after 2 years, I'm just now picking up weight. I'm just now getting really adjusted to being a mom and
Yeah.
having this responsibility. So I'm glad that you brought up the simple fact that, no, like, it really upsets me that the doctors,
Yeah.
will tell us to go back and go do the thing after 6 weeks. Like, hold on, wait a minute. My
Yeah.
body needs some time. It's really a science when it comes to birthing, and to put your body back into that state, that stress state after 6 weeks of after having a baby. It's
Yeah.
like they are really trying to doom us all.
No, seriously. And most of them have never had children. So that's one thing I always tell moms too. Like, ask them questions like that, because you can know as much as you want to know from a book, but until you've actually had children, I don't want to hear it. To be honest.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I and I know one of the doctors I had, I had told her, like, I didn't want an epidural. She was like, I'm telling you, you're gonna need it. I've been a doctor for 15, 20 years, and I know you're gonna need it. I said, that has nothing to do with me.
To
I
say
said I don't
that is
want it.
crazy. So many women are giving birth naturally.
Yeah.
It's crazy to even say that. But one thing I also wanted to say about the word postpartum, I feel like people always look at it like it's a certain time frame that you're trying to
Yep.
be in, right? But all postpartum means is after childbirth. So if it's
Mm-hmm.
after childbirth, that could be 1 year after, 2 years after, 3 years after. Like, I believe that we are taught to breastfeed for 2 years. And that is our break from being pregnant. Like, I think that everyone needs that 2 year breaks for their body to fully, go back to where it started and where it was before. So definitely not anything short of 2 years.
Yes, yes, exactly. I think 2 years is the mark. And it was a book. It's from Foodie Muhammad. You may know what I'm talking about. I'm not for sure. It's called How. Is it called How to Birth a God? I think it is.
Oh, I think I do know what you mean. It has that baby on the cover.
Yes,
I
yes,
seen that book. Someone showed me that book, but I haven't got my hands on it yet.
yes, yes. I read it, and I haven't completed the book, but it has a lot of good information in there. And also, like, I didn't even know that at the age of 3 months, 6 months, I could have been potty training my baby.
Oh
So
yeah.
it was a lot of good information on here. But yes, you guys, that's a great book to check it out. So yes, thank you so much for that, Tayla. Now, do you believe that? And I think think we already talked about that, so we'll leave that question alone. What are some bad habits that makes postpartum unhealthy?
Okay, that's a good question too. I want to say the first thing I thought of when you said that is that we don't set boundaries as moms and really as women in general, but especially as moms, because like you said, like you're becoming a new woman after you have a baby. I know for me during my pregnancy and before my pregnancy with my first, I thought the same way the entire time. And it wasn't until after I had the baby that I realized that, like, man, those thoughts are just, they're not at the top of my list right now. So one of the things that I think moms deal with a lot of guilt when, not only when it comes to how they take care of their household or how they take care of their baby, but also like they're keeping up with social life, friends, family members, everybody want to see the baby, everybody wants to bug you. I think that boundaries are a very good thing to establish. It's one of the things that, I don't know, I just was born with. I don't know what happened, but I was just born with it. Like, sometimes it's okay to just ignore people. Like, it's okay. You don't have to answer everything. You don't have to be consuming so much. And I think that's one of the things that affects moms postpartum, because especially with social media, there's so many like false expectations and just not realistic outcomes and all these things. And you're looking at this and you're like, why doesn't my life, or why doesn't my postpartum look like this? Why isn't it going as smooth and as happy for me as it is for her? But the girl that's this influencer recording during her postpartum, she's giving you a 30-second reel when you don't see the rest of her day. So I think that that is one of the biggest things, is setting up boundaries. Your life does not have to look like everybody else's life. The way you raise your children doesn't have to look like how everybody else raised their children, and it lowers those expectations that I feel like we set on ourselves. So yeah.
Boundaries are very, very important. I'm just now kind of getting to that state where, like, I didn't know that I really wasn't setting any boundaries. I think because me being an empath and me just loving to help people and being scared to say no, not even knowing that I was scared to say no, but just the feeling of rejection, or the feeling of a person not wanting to do anything for me because I said no. I say that because that's in all aspects of life, even with postpartum. It's so important because, you know, we don't give, I don't think, like you said, we give ourselves grace. You know, we just had a baby. And I really believe that a lot of women, and I know I had a time where I would consume social media and would compare myself, like, okay, I'm not here, I'm not there. She looks like, why she look, you know, so it's very easy. I don't want to say easy, but you know, it's very accessible for us to see that. And you know, I would say that slinking devil in our minds to make us believe that we should be in a certain area in our life where we are exactly where we need to be. So I believe that the best thing, as you just said, that could be a part of being healthy, having a healthy postpartum, is making sure you're setting those boundaries for yourself and your baby. So that is a good one. Now, what are the causes of mental health issues during postpartum time?
Well, I would say that one of the biggest things for me, it just always goes back to nutrition, because if our bodies are lacking a certain element here or there, it can throw off the whole healing process. So I think that like a lot of times we want to help out postpartum moms and we want to just order them stuff, and even like sending groceries is kind of like, we don't be wanting to do that because it's like, okay, who's gonna cook it? But that's why I would like for moms to get prepared for their postpartum beforehand, because if we got some quick things ready to go in the freezer, we can really just continue to feed and nourish our bodies, especially while breastfeeding. So that way we can avoid certain things like postpartum depression. a lot of times when doulas are trying to treat like postpartum depression or what's the other one I'm thinking of? Not the, like, I guess we could talk about different ones, but the postpartum depression more specifically, I see a lot of doulas trying to treat them with like magnesium, because zinc, magnesium, like these little things here and there, we might just be missing, and it's not connecting because the hormones are just sending messages to your brain constantly. And if there's something missing there, I feel like it stops that healing process. And then the other ones, like maybe postpartum PTSD or postpartum psychosis, or even just like something that starts off small, like baby blues. Some of that can come from your birth experience. I will say for sure. If you feel like you were violated during your birth experience, like one of the things I always hold on to, and I still kind of cringe to this day, is what 9, almost 10 years ago when my doctor gave me an episiotomy. That's something that's like, why would you even do that? Now that I have the information I have, I think about it often, like, man, like I felt violated at the time. Like I felt like that was a time where I could have stuck up for myself and I just didn't know to do that. So that's something that's would be considered what postpartum PTSD. You can get that definitely from a poor birth experience.
Yes, yes, I definitely agree with that. I would say like I spoke to you before, with just the experience I had with my prior pregnancy and the loss of my son 6 7 years ago, um, and getting pregnant again with my son. I had a lot of things that happened that transpired within that birthing period that I believe had caused a lot of my um, mental, I say, issues in regards to like anxiety and a little depression. I think I kind of dealt with more of the anxiety on that part, and also and I just now found out that the epidural is like literally a drug.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a drug.
That's like a drug.
Woo, that's a strong drug.
So I said, okay, because I had to push oh my gosh, like I said, I pushed my son out for 2 hours straight, and like I got to the point where I feel like my body could not do it anymore. I really felt like I was like, I'm going to freaking die. This is so much. I don't know what to do. I was literally going to give in to getting a C-section because I'm like, he's not coming out. I don't know. So they said, look, you either, they said the epidural. And honestly, it's like, I feel like my body rejected it so fast. Like, I don't know. It was just not so fast, but it's like they gave me the epidural, and like 5 seconds later, he came out.
Wow.
And it's just like, because my legs were so weak from pushing and having it. I didn't have no more strength to keep pushing. But when I went ahead and got the epidural and it helped me push them out, I still didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So it may be in some cases that you may need it, but I also feel like a lot of that also could have contributed to the lack of exercise that I was doing during the pregnancy. So that's why it's also good as well to have make sure your body is well prepared before getting pregnant.
Yeah.
Make sure you are healthy during the pregnancy so you can have a successful birthing and a postpartum. I think that all plays a big part in that. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. And if you all are enjoying this episode just as well as I am, please, please, please show your support by donating today to Cash App $Healing with Angelica. I will also leave more info to donate on the screen below. Now, I love you guys. Now let's get back to today's episode, Healthy Postpartum with Tayla X. Now, this question right here, I want to really dive deep in this because I think this is very important, especially for our African American women. So, Do you believe that conventional doctors have neglected women's care after pregnancy?
After pregnancy, that's good too. Okay, so before I answer that, I gotta go back to the epidural conversation for a second because it's gonna bother me if I don't say nothing. But okay, so with that situation, just from the little pieces that I got from what you said, one, I would say doctors should not be telling you when to push. If you were pushing for 2 hours, it just wasn't time for you to push. A lot of times they're going based off of dilation, but also they're going based off of we trying to get the baby out so we can go. So they're rushing moms to push before it's actually time. That's one thing I feel. Then with the epidural, like helping you push, the epidural helps you to relax. If we're not in a state of being relaxed, if we're too tense, we're actually starting our own labor. So when that epidural calms you down on the internet, am I back? Can you hear me? Okay, sorry, it blacked out for a second.
No, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You can hear me too, right?
Yeah, it's a little crackle on your end though. Are you still hearing the crackling?
Yes, but let me
It's
see
okay.
if I need to.
It's okay.
Okay.
I love you, audience, so much, but we're gonna have to, keep it going. Even though we hear the crackling. I hope you guys could, ignore the crackling and still be able to obtain this great information.
Yes.
So yeah, I can hear you. You're fine.
Okay. Okay. So then to answer the question about the doctors assisting us or giving us care after pregnancy, I feel like that is a huge thing that I always talk about with moms too, because a lot of times we don't see a doctor until we actually are pregnant. So that's something that can be avoided. Midwives also offer annual checkups for women, whether that's like your pap smear, your STD testing, your blood work, anything you would need. A midwife can offer that for you. You do not have to be pregnant to go see your midwife. I think that conventional doctors don't really care for like the check-ins after your 6-week appointment, because then they become just regular annual checkups, which aren't that much money. But with a pregnancy, taking care of somebody, their entire prenatal, their labor, their delivery, and then those next couple of checkups, that's a package deal for them. So that's just why it's so common for them to stop after 6 weeks.
Yeah, this is why I got you on here and wanted to talk about that as well, just because I really felt like, after having my son, I just felt like just kind of like, okay, see, go to your other doctor, we done with you. But it's like, hold on, wait a minute, what about this or what about that? And my doctor at the time, she completely ignored my thyroid issue. I had to go to another doctor to get blood work done because my doctor, after having my son, told me that, oh, it's just your hormones. Go get a massage. It's okay. Yeah, your thyroid looks a little swollen, but it's all right. I'm like, no, it's not all right because I'm having anxiety and I'm feeling weird and I need to figure this out. Coming to find out by my doctor, oh, you have a thyroid. They was calling it thyroiditis, like a postpartum thyroiditis, like an inflammation of the thyroid at the time. So I'm like, huh? Okay. Why didn't I like so and then another thing after pregnancy too, I think I don't know if you ever heard of it. Something it has to do with your stomach muscles, the dissector recta.
Like when they separate.
Yes. I had that, but I had to self-diagnose myself with that. I could tell. I was like, okay, why don't they look at that? And just in me finding out that, of course, it takes like 2 years for your body to actually heal. Yeah. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I wonder how many women has gotten pregnant right after having a baby, and their muscles, their abdominal muscles are split and they're weak. I said, that's in And just from now, I'm thinking like, there's no way, because it's all in the Allah's will. I don't see how. I don't know. And in my mind, I was just like, I can't see how another pregnancy could go on when your muscles is split, your abdominal
Yeah.
muscles was split like that. Like mine was big, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I was scared, but at the time I'm like, I can't trust these conventional doctors. Like they didn't even tell me this. Like, why didn't they say that? So I truly believe that we have to take it in our own hands. We
Yeah.
really have to. It's a
I
must.
think one of the biggest reasons why they don't say anything too is because that's something they're going to refer you to somebody else. That's not money in their pockets really. And I hate to keep like bringing it back to the money part, but this just is what we're dealing with here in America, the medical system in America. And another thing, the only reason I even know about that, because I had 2 children too, and the only reason I even know about that is because of the postpartum visits that I've had with moms as a doula. Their midwife check for that. So if you don't have a good doctor, like I said, they're just not concerned with the full woman in the picture.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. So, I want to talk about because I can definitely say like I am so grateful to Allah that I had the support of my mother,
Yeah.
but also had the additional support of a doula at my birthing, and before my birth and after, because she helped me out tremendously. Like I got sick after having my son, and I felt so overwhelmed. It's like I have never in my life felt like that. I called my doula, and she said, "I'm on my way. What do you need? I'm gonna take care of the baby. You go take a shower." I like cried so much. I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, 'cause I don't know what to do, and I'm just overwhelmed, and I haven't bathed, and it was just so much right after giving birth. So I want to talk about what are the benefits of obtaining a doula. I was going to say during postpartum, but just in general, like what are the benefits of having a doula, especially for a Black woman?
Oh yeah, that's especially, and I want to just start by saying that was so important for what you just said about the support that you received, and also some of the things that you went through during your pregnancy, because a lot of people just think, like I said, pregnancy is just so common and we see it every day. Women are just getting past this like it's nothing. And we as Black women always make it seem like what we're going through is nothing, because for whatever reason we're just so strong and want to be just seen as just so strong, and we're carrying all this weight really. So I think that the benefits of having a doula during this time and just in general is just that, like having somebody that's not going to be biased, not going to be like, oh girl, well, everybody, has children, get over it, blah, blah, blah. They actually are just there to hear you in those times. And one of the other hugest things too is that since they're going on so many different births and they're getting all of this experience, not only do they have the information that they were taught while they were, being trained, but they have the information from experience too. So now we got doulas out here, not myself, because I'm not at 20 births yet. I'm trying to get there. But we got doulas out there that's been to 20 different births, that's been to 30 different births, that's been to 40 different births. And I don't know any moms that's had 20 or 30 different children. So you're gaining that experience from somebody that's actually in the field, seeing babies being born all the time.
Yes, 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 exactly. Having someone that really knows just the ins and out of just pregnancy and birthing in general, and also having that additional support, I believe, and maybe you can touch on it before we end the show, um, how how important it is to have that extra support when you're actually, because some women may have to go to the hospital to give birth,
Yeah.
but having that doula there to kind of back you up, because even in that time of me giving birth, I'm like, I'm not here. Like,
Yeah.
I hear y'all doctors, but I'm not here. I'm trying to, so, and I also believe that's another time as well for doctors to kind of like take advantage of a woman, because especially she doesn't have no support. A woman is more acceptable to whatever the doctor is telling her.
Yes.
At the time, like, well, you need this, okay, just do it, I don't care. Like, that was
Yeah.
not like that my thought. But you have that doula there, like, hold on, wait a minute, she said this, she said that. Like, I'm telling you, Sister Tayla, like, it was a point in time where I said, I feel like I cannot breathe. I feel like I can't breathe. Like, I kept saying it, but not loud. But I'm trying to say it because I'm still giving birth. My doula said, "Hey, she says she can't breathe. Check her oxygen level." Like,
Somebody.
found out that I was okay. It's okay. My oxygen level was cool. But just that little thing there made me see how beneficial a doula was being there for me, because the doctor completely just ignored that and was just constantly telling me to push, 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 push. Like, I'm like, oh my God,
Oh, they drive me crazy, girl. Told you I'm trying to stay out these hospitals. They gonna watch me.
oh my God.
Oh man. So it's two things that I do want to say about that, because you're right about both things. Like that doula being there as what I was saying, the middleman or your advocate, is so important because we can prevent so many different things. And one thing my doula instructor said to us, she said, if somebody asks you what do you do, say, I prevent C-sections. That's what I do. And she meant it. And I never be saying that to people, but because it sounds kind of harsh, but it's real. Like, we make sure that when the doctors come in, you see her. Like, a lot of times they're on autopilot. Like, they do it so much, so they just know they're checking off. They got like a little checklist is what I'll be saying. They're checking off this. Okay, I did her blood pressure, did this, did this. I need you to see her though, not just a patient X, not just patient number, blah 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 for the day. I need you to see this woman. But the other issue is though, if you have to give birth in a hospital and you have a doula, I need the doula to build a strong relationship with that mom before she goes into labor, because if you have a strong relationship with her, your voice is going to be louder in her head. And then for the moms to what can I say for the moms to do? Because what I see is the issue is that once we get into those buildings, those white coats distract us, and our doula is just a doula. You're the non-medical support person, but my doctor is here, and they get into that mind frame, like you said, where they're more likely to just go with the flow of what the doctor is saying. So if I'm your doula and I'm at your hospital birth and I'm telling you, girl, stop pushing, and then your doctor's saying, with the next contraction, push, I need you to make that choice of who you're going to listen to. And that comes with that doula building a strong bond with the mom during the pregnancy. Because if you've only had 3 visits with her and she done saw you once per trimester, like, she's not going to really grasp what you're trying to say in that moment of labor. So that is one of the hugest difficulties that I feel like doulas are going to come across with hospital births.
And I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's like make a decision, and when it comes to giving birth, to me, like, that's like, it's really like life and death. Like, so as a doula, not me, but just a doula in general, just being able to make sure that they.
Girl, you could be a doula.
I ain't gonna lie, I was thinking about being a doula, because that stuff I experienced in mine, I'm like, oh no, more women need support. So yes. I ain't gonna say I might not look into that. I'm trying to be everything in the world, so I don't know.
I know how that goes.
Yeah. So yeah, that support is necessary. It is needed. And that bond, it's all about that bond, that connection, because unfortunately, We're living in a world where our trust has been depleted. We don't
Yes.
trust nobody. We ain't trying to deal with nobody, but we need each other.
Yeah.
And we need more support when it comes to women giving birth. So I want to say thank you again, Tayla, for joining me today on this well needed topic, healthy postpartum. I would also like to give a great thank you to my amazing healing tribe for joining us today. I pray today's episode was informative and valuable for you all. Also, be sure to give us your feedback, share, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any new episodes on your favorite podcast station. Closing the Gap Broadcast Network and YouTube and Facebook, and my Facebook and YouTube channel, Healing with Angelica. If you are to get the message out, I'm sorry, to those in need of healing. Also, if you are ready to start your healing journey, my ebook, Heal Yourself, is just for you. This ebook breaks down the steps you should take to start your healing journey to become your best self. To purchase your ebook today, be sure to check in today's show notes, in which will also include information for today's amazing guest, Miss Tayla X.
Thank you.
Tayla, before we end today's show, do you have any closing remarks for our audience today?
Yes, I would say that a lot of people think that like being a doula is the training, but for me, I think it's more so the experience. One thing that our doula instructor told us is like just start, just start. You're already a doula. So as women, we have to learn how to support other women that are pregnant and postpartum. And that is what a doula is. So every single one of you guys can be doulas. And I think that women need more support and sharing more information. Don't keep it to yourself. So yeah.
Yes, yes. Thank you for saying that because I it remind me of back in the olden days. You know, I wasn't born back then, but I just remember that they used to say how all the women be
Yeah.
together, the big village, and
We were
all
surrounded by women.
surrounded by women.
Yeah.
When a woman is giving birth, like we need that support. Like we're so in this state of mind of just envy and jealousy. Oh, no, this woman is having a baby and she needs your support,
Yeah.
sister, blood or not. And I truly feel like you said, doulas, we are all naturally doulas if we wanted to be.
Yes.
So definitely. So yes, Sister Taylor, thank you again so much for joining me today. And thank you again to my amazing healing tribe. And we leave you guys as we came. Peace and healing.
Assalamu alaikum.